It's so good to have you here.
It's my pleasure.
With a beautiful smile.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know that you've been through a lot.
You can say that again.
I've been with you firsthand, so there's no news to me. But I'd like you to share your story. Your story, you are the best person to actually share your story.
So, I have several stories, but I think the one that I feel will appeal now is it happened in 2011. I went for NYSC in Bauchi, Darazo. Darazo Bauchi, pardon me, Bauchi. So I was a copper and I went to serve. So I think that was when there was this election between Buhari and Jonathan, in which Jonathan became the president. That was in 2011. And, you know, coppers were the ones that were used for the election. I was one of the ad hoc staff, if that's the correct English, I'm not really sure. But I was part of the ones that handled the election. So during that time, I can remember April 18, 2011, I was on my way to the market. I was actually going to the market because Mondays are usually our market days, or the market day. I won't say our market day any longer. The market day in Bauchi, in Darazo then. So I think I was on my way to the market to get foodstuff. And on my way, I didn't know that a riot had started. So while we were there, we just saw angry mobs, that's the Hausa men, coming towards us. And they were with machetes and all that. So I remember running back to my hostel because I was teaching in a school in Darazo. I remember running back to the hostel to, you know, to get safety. And that was where the whole drama began. So while I was in the hostel, we got a call that they were going to come and pick us and take us to the nearest police station to keep us safe. That because I think in another local government, they had killed some coppers then. So I remember that I had boiled rice. I'm a foodie actually. I had boiled rice and egg and beans. And I was about eating when they came to pick us. And when they came to pick us, they didn't allow us to take anything. So we thought it was just a temporary measure, and we didn't know that it was going to skyrocket to something deep. So I remember them picking us in a truck, and they took us to the nearest police station. On getting to the police station, that was when we now realized that, you know, they had killed some coppers, even some coppers that were living in, what's it called? The NCCF lodge. They had been attacked, beaten, and all that. So it was when we got to the police station that we found out that that had happened. And more so, there was curfew. They didn't allow us leave Darazo. So we had to sleep. We had to sleep at the police station that night. Now, imagine I left home without eating. I wasn't prepared for the whole incident, and we were at the police station and we didn't know our fate. So we were there waiting, and while we were there, we started getting news of how people were already killed in the police, that some of our fellow coppers in the other local government had been picked up and taken to the police station, but because they didn't understand the language, so those that were in the police station also allowed the indigents to come and attack them, and they killed some of the coppers in the police station. And naturally, what will happen? We all were agitated that, okay, so that means we are not in a safe place, because number one, we were in the police station. The police people around us were Hausa men too, and the notion was that they purposely used coppers to rig the election and all that. So we were there scared. I tried calling my parents. They said they tried calling people, and they said that there was a curfew. They didn't allow anybody come into Darazo, and they didn't allow anybody go out of Darazo. So we were there. My dad also told me on the phone, I can remember, that he called the LGI, and the LGI also told him that he also was running for his own life. So the flash that came to mind, well, that's the first thing that happened to me. I first thought about it. This is a girl coming from a protective home. Now, I want to give you a backstory. I live in Ogba, in Ikeja. That's, those that know Ikeja will understand where I'm talking about. I live in Ogba. Then I went to a primary school in Ogba. My secondary school was in Ogba. Then I went to University of Lagos. And when I went to University of Lagos, I used to come home every Friday. Now, picking up a girl like that and taking her to the north for the first time, I was leaving my comfort zone. And that was the experience I was having. It was really tough. And it didn't just stop at the police station. That night, we slept at the police station the first night, and people were coming, and each time anybody they come with the news that somebody, their loved one, was dead already. So I didn't know my fate. The only thing I remember, I'm getting a little bit emotional. The only thing I remembered was that I just called my dad that I'm at the police station now, and I've heard that some of the coppers are already dead. I don't know my fate. The only thing I said, Daddy, just please help me, just get me out of here. And he also responded on the phone and said, Tolani, I'm trying my best, but let's see how it goes. He even called me later and told me that there was he had gotten through to somebody and they will see what they can do. So while in the police station, I just sat. We're sitting on the floor. You know, I don't know if you've been to a police station before. You have that counter. So we all sat at the back of the counter, and some of us sat in front of the counter, and I think they gave us Costa biscuits, one Costa biscuit and pure water, and we all sat on the floor. And we heard people that were wailing outside, those that were outside the police station. Now, the thing was that everyone that came to the police station, we were all foreigners. So we were not indigenes of Darazo or Bauchi. We were not northerners. We were southerners, easterners, and the westerners. So we were all so we were the ones at the police station, because apparently what had happened was that the northerners got angry and they started attacking everybody that was not. Yes. So that was what really happened. So we just sat down. So while in the police station, you can hear people wailing, maybe finding out that their loved ones had been killed already. So at that point, at the police station, we all summoned courage. Then I had some of my colleagues around me. We had them together and we started discussing that I think the safe place to go to would be to go to the barracks, the army barracks. Now in the army barracks, you are not just the northerners. It's a mixed environment that I think will be better safe at the army barracks. So that night we slept at the police station. We literally didn't sleep, but we were just hanging around. Yes, we spent the night there. So on the next day, which I think that should be 19th of April, then we all summoned courage. Yes, it could have been risky. We summoned courage. I had to go back to the hostel to pick up just like a small briefcase that had my clothes, my ATM card, anything that could be an identification for me. I went back to pick it. Though it was risky, but we had to do that because we couldn't depend on the LGI. We couldn't depend on our government officials to help us at that point in time. We needed to get something to, if there be any need, I have to, identify myself, then, maybe take transport fare and go back home. Then I would have my ATM or cash with me. I actually went back to take my wallet and some few clothes. I remember that they were telling us that we should put off our uniform, the NYC uniform, so that they cannot identify us. So I left everything I had gone to the north with, and I only picked up that small briefcase or small bag that had just like 2 clothes, and pick up my wallet and whatever that I needed as an identification. And I remember that when I got back to the police station, I don't know what they call their leader came to address us and say that there's no need for us to worry, that we should stay back, that they have everything under their control. But we went against that we just wanted to leave. Yes, our minds were made of that. We just wanted to leave this environment, because here where we were was not a mixed environment. We were we felt unsafe, and we actually contributed money ourselves. I think I remember contributing 250 naira for the bus that took us out of Darazo into Bauchi town, and they took us to army barracks. When we got to army barracks, there was no space for us, so they got us a hall, and we had to sleep on the hall. There was no food for like 2 to 3 days. We were without food, we were without water, until some of our coppers felt sorry for us and they started bringing meals for us where we were. And I remember that while I was there, I was just calling home and like, I need to leave this. In the first place, what am I even doing in this Darazo? What am I doing here? And at some point, I remember that I had 2 other coppers with me. That one was staying in Osun, I was staying in Lagos. So we all decided that we want to take the bull by the horn and that we were going to leave. Since nobody is responding to us, let's kukuma leave. If that's English, let's leave and go back home. We can't continue like this. We don't even know if this place is safe any longer. We were hungry and nobody was even addressing us and all that. Then I remember that we went to the ATM, we withdrew 3,000 naira at then, and we decided to leave for Lagos. And I remember that we went through Jos. On our way to Jos, we could see the damage that had been done. We could see burnt tires on the road. You could see the aftermath of the crisis. So while we were in Darazo, you know, other northern states were already in crisis as well. And that's how we left Darazo and we came home. And I remember that by the time I got to Bega, I called my dad, Daddy, I'm at Bega. Daddy, please come and pick me up. So my dad picked me up and, you know, took me home. I remember seeing my mom for the first time after the crisis. All she could do was cry. That because during that space, there was no assurance if I was going to come back or not, because a lot of coppers died. Though they might not really say it on the news. They cannot say the number of coppers. They will just give you a round figure, but a lot of coppers died. I have memories of those that I actually saw. I had, you know, the ones that we had short sleeves, long sleeve. That's when they butchered their hands and all that. We saw pictures, gory pictures and all that. But I'm grateful to God that, you know, I went past through that and I came back home. So,
if I may ask now, how was the healing journey for you? Did you have anybody to talk to, like a therapist, a psychologist, or what was your coping mechanism? Because I know that you can't just wake up and it just flies out of your memory like it never happened. What did you do during that period?
Okay, let me be honest. You know, at first, this PTSD that we are talking about now, during that time, I didn't know about it. But I wasn't aware about it. The only thing I can remember was that when I got back to Lagos, when I sleep, I wake up suddenly and I'm scared. Like I still play back that scenario, like as if I'm still in Darazo. And that fear is real. I can literally feel it. And it's when I'm awake and or maybe when I'm conscious, I realize that, no, you're back to Lagos and all that. Now, how did I heal? I can't say that this was how my healing came about, because I knew that I lived through that for a while. And when I see an Hausa man, then we were living in an estate in Ogba, and you know, you have those abokis selling. When I see them, I get agitated again, like, and I didn't know why. I didn't have a name for it, and I didn't have anybody to discuss. And my parents then didn't understand. All they could do was support me and love me. I knew that my mom really pampered me during that. My mom pampered me during that period when I came back. Okay, so but there was not a name attached to what I was experiencing, so there was no way to have communicated to anybody that this was what was wrong with me. I just knew that this was how I was feeling. Or now I have a better understanding that, okay, what I was experiencing then was PTSD. So I knew my mom and dad tried their best. They loved up on me, but there was nobody to talk to. So I would say the healing was not just immediate. It was a gradual process. It took time. I can't say that this was a particular time the healing, you know, was finalized or happened. But I knew that it took time, and after a while, I didn't feel the way I used to feel again.
So did you have anything that you used as a coping mechanism? For someone like me, I'm in the creative space, so I turned to art. I don't do anything in the creative space. So for you, what would you say that you found solace, you found comfort doing, and it helped you, transit that phase of anxiety?
Of anxiety. Okay. So let me give it back to you. You know that I said I went for service. I was supposed to finish service, I think June 2011. And the incident happened April. So as at April, everybody went back home. So I didn't finish up my service year. I only went back to collect my certificate, I think in Ibadan in June. So during that period, I was just at home. So I've always loved fashion. So what I turned to then, I didn't know that it was a form of therapy, but what I turned to then was I went to learn how to make clothes. So I found somewhere close around, and that was what I was buried in. And I also learned how to do cake, dress, not bake cake, but dress cake. Like my mom is a caterer and she bakes so well. So all I would do is that when she finished baking, I would dress the cake. I went to learn, I think that thing was called fondant. I went to learn fondant from someone around as well. So
it's cake craft.
It's cake craft, yes. I went to learn that. Then I also learned tailoring. Then we call it tailoring. I went to learn tailoring, and that was what occupied my time, occupied my space. And I think that was what brought about the process of healing, because I was now engrossed in doing that sometimes when I get back home, I'm exhausted. So there was no time for me to think about all I went through. All I had to do was, focus on the new tasks ahead of me. So I think that was what brought about healing, the process of healing, because you don't heal immediately, but that was what brought about the process of healing for me.
It's beautiful to see that, when we go through things, that we should not be so fixated on the situation that we find ourselves in. Because in that situation, yes, it has happened, but there are so many other things that we can actually express ourselves in or through. And so for you found not even one, you found two things. And if the incident didn't happen, you probably might not even know that you had that strength, because finishing NYSC, the next thing is to go
to start. Yes.
So you would not even.
I've thought about it.
But in, like, I don't know how they say that thing, but even in the black pots, it can bring out white or something like that. So in the dark situation, you found strength in a creative ability, and so would you encourage that people do this? Because sometimes they say, what worked for me might not work for you. Don't try it, those kind of things. But having read a bit and done a little research on it, I saw that there are non-pharmacological methods that you can actually use to help improve the mental well-being of people, and address or treat mild mental health issues, not serious psychosis and the like, but there are still some mild mental issues that you can actually address with such things. And for you, fashion and cake craft came in handy.
Yes.
So what would you say to encourage people to do that, and educate people that when their loved ones want to turn to those things, they'll be like, no, don't distract yourself with this or this.
Okay, so my advice is find what works for you. I'm an hands-on person, and my creative part really comes out most times. Some people would take up reading, some people would take up dancing classes, some people would, go to the gym. You see people go to gym as a form of therapy, but for me, gym was not it for me. It was decorating. Do you understand? It was decorating, making things with my hand. So what interests me might not interest another person. So I would say find what works for you. Find what you love the most. Find what makes you happy. Like me, that was what made me happy at that time. Making dresses, seeing it on people, and admiring it. I can remember when I eventually got a job, I was wearing what I was making. On Fridays, we are allowed to wear my native attire. I would wear what I made, and I wear it to the office, and they'll be like, so you can make this. So what are you doing here? But that was just what I had on the side that made me happy. So find what works for you. Some people it's baking, some people it's painting, some people, just like you said photography worked for you. Some people it is photography, some people, you have different things that you could channel the energy that you should, that should hold you down. You have different means, different ways to channel that energy. So find what works for you. Yes, tailoring worked for me. That it might not work for you if you don't have the interest. If I advise you to go and do tailoring, that's a tool. It's just a tool. It might not work for you. So find what works for you. And once you find what works for you, just focus on that. I think it will help you. You won't even know when you start healing, because the healing doesn't come automatically, but you will know at what point the healing starts. For me, I started doing fondant. I would roll fondant and, cover cakes for my mom, do engagement cakes, birthday cakes, based on my knowledge then. You have new craft now. Based on my knowledge, I would do that. And sometimes when we have weddings, I can remember then, even I will make clothes for my siblings. I'll make clothes. Maybe they picked Ashwebi. I will make the clothes and I'm happy. And that was what made me happy. And that was a tool for me to, deal with whatever I was going through then. Then we didn't have a name for it. But then that was what I used to, as a tool to heal.
The story is quite fascinating, and I'm grateful to God that you were able to come out of that phase. I'm grateful to see you bounce back. Yes, you might not even be doing the tailoring today. You might not be baking today, but it was for that season. It was for the season, and you found it useful.
Yes.
To help you heal in that season. And I see how much strength you built, how resilient you become. And I see so much you've achieved over that time. And I keep imagining, what if that incident
took my life?
And so this is what would have been deprived of.
Yes.
This expression of you. And I'm grateful that you didn't face up in that season. So
just like you said, I was discussing with my mom maybe a few weeks ago, and I was telling her, no, some few days ago, I was telling her that they compensated the parents of some of the couples that died. They compensated them with 1 million naira then. And I always have this thought in my head that, so they would have given my parents 1 million naira. And I know what I've achieved over time. From 2011 to now, I've worked in great places. I've achieved a lot, and I'm still achieving more. So you can imagine compensating parents with 1 million naira then. So indeed, I'm just grateful to God that, yes, I went through that phase and I came out alive, and I'm able to share the story, and I'm able to understand better now that if, yeah, I was sharing with someone recently that when I forgot to even mention, when my parents traveled then, during that period, when they travel and they leave Lagos, I start panicking. If I should call their phone and they are not picking up, the first thing that comes to my mind is that, oh, they've been attacked, they've been killed. So it took a while, but I'm grateful to God that I've been able to heal and I'm able to share this story. I will keep sharing this story because this is a testament that God is faithful and God saved me. Another thing I would like to mention is that don't do life alone. When you see that you have issues regarding your trauma, just speak to somebody, discuss with people that have the same experience. When you have people that have the experience, you find common ground. Yes, you can connect. So share, don't keep to yourself, share it. And to round up, just look for something that interests you, that will take your mind off whatever it is that you are going through. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Motolani.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
I know it took so much courage, and I'm grateful that you made this.
Thank you.